Since Resurrection F came out and Frieza went from Goten victim to stronger than Super Saiyan God Goku, a question has been on everyone's mind. What if Frieza always trained? It's been 5 years since I last covered this topic, so I wanted to go over it again to see what's changed. And since we don't know how old Frieza is, I think the best place to start is at the beginning, which for most Dragon Ball stories is the destruction of Planet Vegeta. The plan was for Frieza to eradicate the Saiyans, ridding himself of the threat of a Saiyan uprising, as well as removing the possibility of a Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan God being born to lead them. Luckily, Frieza was able to get Beerus' permission, who was happy to have the upstart emperor take care of some destruction for him while he prepared for his next nap. However, in this version of the story, the destruction of Planet Vegeta and the Saiyans isn't nearly enough to ensure his long-lasting rule over the universe. He needs to surpass the two people his father had always warned him about, Majin Buu and the God of Destruction Beerus himself. If he could surpass those two, then he could truly control the universe without fear of being usurped. Two beings stand between me and complete control of this universe. I no longer intend to let looming threats linger. Frieza transforms into his true form, and the power overwhelms everyone present. This is but a taste of my true potential. I've never had to lift a finger, granted ultimate power by simply being born. However, Frieza returns to his first form and lets out a sigh of relief. Even using only half of my true power is too much energy to be controlled. But if I can master it, then I can grow to new heights and claim this universe as my own. Berry Blue and Kikono both smirk and begin to make arrangements for Frieza's training, starting by finding a suitable location and capable sparring partners. Meanwhile, Beerus has just fallen asleep again after receiving a prophecy that may never come true, and Goku is already on Earth. So, for the time being, our story actually remains unchanged. That is, until we get to the Frieza saga. You see, the Saiyan saga doesn't change because while the few living Saiyans under Frieza's control know that he's truly all-powerful, they themselves haven't been used as sparring partners due to Frieza's fear of Saiyan potential. So Raditz, Nappa, and Vegeta remain at their canon power levels, while his more loyal soldiers like Zarbon, Dodoria, and the Ginyus are trained with, and subsequently grow to unseen heights as well compared to their canon selves. So Frieza, Vegeta, Krillin, Gohan, and Bulma all converge on Namek, with all of them hunting the Dragon Balls for their own desires. Major difference? There's literally no one who could even remotely keep up with Frieza and his soldiers. Zarbon and Dodoria alone are just too strong for Vegeta and the Earthlings, so instead of Vegeta hunting down Frieza's men and picking them off one by one, he's constantly on the run. Gohan and Krillin still manage to save Dende, but only barely, just like the original version of the story. At the same time, Vegeta unknowingly takes advantage of the Scouters being destroyed by Elder Mori to get a hold of a Dragon Ball and hide it. Since he doesn't know the Scouters are destroyed in this version of events, he can only act while he knows what Frieza's soldiers are doing, and hearing the commotion at Elder Mori's village on his own Scouter allowed him to act with a little chance of being caught even by their Scouters. Of course, Vegeta being more fearful to be out in the open lets Gohan and Krillin make it to Elder Guru's house, securing his Dragon Ball and getting their potentials unlocked. This is all in line with the cat and mouse game of the canon story, but the big difference is Zarbon and Dodoria are still alive, and even worse, stronger than ever. This does mean that the Ginyu Force isn't even required here, as Frieza doesn't have a premonition of things going wrong and a strong Saiyan appearing, though he still orders more Scouters, which take a few days to arrive. Frieza knows Vegeta is hiding a Dragon Ball, so they do need Scouters to find him, but they can wait, as Vegeta can't act against them with his current power. The efforts of Vegeta, Gohan, and Krillin to keep Frieza from collecting all 7 Dragon Balls allow enough time to pass for Goku to arrive on the planet. All 3 can sense his arrival, and with Krillin and Gohan seeing the Scouters destroyed at Elder Mori's village, they feel safe to power up and let Goku know where they are. Little did they know, Vegeta can sense Ki now, so he also heads to their location, and even worse, Vegeta powering up to fly after them sets off Frieza's new Scouters, making him a target for Zarbon and Dodoria. Goku gets to Krillin and Gohan first, and they explain what's going on, but right as they do, Vegeta lands next to them and demands their Dragon Ball. Goku readies himself for his rematch against Vegeta, but then Zarbon and Dodoria arrive as well, ready to collect the Dragon Balls and their heads. Goku is shocked how strong they are, but luckily he's still stronger and he begins to fight the two at once. Both can't believe a Saiyan is strong enough to fight both of them at the same time, especially after they've grown alongside Frieza. but they aren't Frieza. Sure, they had some unrealized potential, but not anywhere near their master's level. Zarbon tells Dodoria to take over for a moment, and as Dodoria distracts Goku, Zarbon transforms into his monster form. Now there's some trouble. Goku says he might need some help after all, and asks the others to handle Dodoria while he takes out Zarbon. Vegeta thinks it's a death sentence, but he has no choice, and together with Gohan and Krillin, they do their best to give Goku time to take care of Zarbon. Goku feels bad, but using the Kaioken this early when he can already sense Frieza's monstrous power would be a bad idea. Meanwhile, Frieza is monitoring the fight with his scouter from the comfort of his ship, surrounded by 5 Dragon Balls. He's impressed that Saiyans have come so far, but he knows it's only a matter of time before they fall to him and his men. And that's when Frieza realizes something. Zarbon! Dodoria! Do you see the 2 remaining Dragon Balls? Zarbon and Dodoria look around frantically, but they can't see them, and report that back to Frieza. Frieza tells them to bring them back alive, or else they'll never be able to find the Dragon Balls. Little did Frieza know, Vegeta heard their plan, as he still has his scouter from the beginning of the arc. He knows Goku can win this battle, but he's dead at the next one, so he flies away from Dodoria and towards Goku. Krillin can see Vegeta has a plan and uses a solar flare to buy him a little more time. Vegeta kicks Zarbon away, but only for a moment, and he tells Goku to lose this fight. Goku doesn't understand why, and Vegeta says it's the only way they have a chance here. But before he could explain further, Zarbon strikes Vegeta down with his full force, leaving him on the brink of death. Goku knows Vegeta wouldn't take a loss willingly unless he had to, so Goku believes him and lets Zarbon fatally wound him as well. Dodoria has no problems handling Gohan and Krillin, all of whom are brought back to Frieza's ship and put into healing tanks guarded by Zarbon and Dodoria. Now these healing tanks take a while to finish, so I was looking for something to watch on my laptop, but there's nothing good on Netflix here. Thankfully, ExpressVPN is the sponsor of today's video. With ExpressVPN, I can have my data encrypted and rerouted, allowing me to change my location to unblock content from the major streaming services while ensuring my privacy. This adds thousands of new shows and movies to the streaming services that I'm already paying for. Like right now, I'm trying to watch some peak Dragon Ball content while I wait for them to heal, but Dragon Ball Super Broly isn't available on Netflix where I am right now. But changing my location to Spain lets me quickly access the movie on Netflix. Or maybe I want to watch an old school anime like Cowboy Bebop. And no, the live action version isn't good enough. So I'll just change my location to France, and there it is, the original anime. And I don't have to worry about what I'm watching buffering either. ExpressVPN only uses premium servers, making it a consistently faster service than any other VPN provider. And when I'm back on Earth, there are servers in every single US state, meaning I'm always close to a server. If somehow you do have an issue or a question about their service, ExpressVPN has a 24/7 live chat service to answer any and all concerns within seconds. So find out how you can get up to 4 extra months of ExpressVPN by clicking the link in the description box down below, scanning the QR code on screen right now, or going to expressvpn.com/cdojo. Oh, sounds like they're healed. It's not long before they're all healed, and as the machine beeps, Frieza tells them to bring them all to his room for interrogations. As Dodoria opens the tank containing Vegeta, he blasts the pink brute away in one attack. He has surpassed his limits. Zarbon quickly transforms to attack Vegeta, but Goku just as quickly takes him out with little effort, and Vegeta delivers the finishing blow. Frieza's scouter goes off with all the commotion, and he rushes over to stop their escape. They can all sense Frieza's power rising as he's enraged at being tricked, and they know Vegeta's gamble wasn't nearly enough to let them beat Frieza. It seems like it's all over as Frieza enters the room. Goku quickly uses a Kaioken times 10 with his newfound power to try and hold off Frieza while the others escape, but Frieza shoots a death beam through Goku's chest, fatally wounding him once again. All hope seems lost, but Krillin thinks quickly and uses a solar flare, and Vegeta takes that opportunity to destroy all the scouters in the room, including the one on Frieza himself. With that, they are able to quickly make their escape, but they can't get very far as Goku's wounds slow them down. Luckily, Goku has more Senzu, and this one allows him to get a Zenkai boost so large he's stronger than his base power on Namek at the end of the canon version of that story. Vegeta can't believe what he's sensing. Goku may truly be the Super Saiyan. The only problem is the power overflowing from his body showed Frieza exactly where they are as he just equipped another one of the newly delivered scouters. Before they know it, Frieza is there and deeply enraged. He doesn't care about anything other than their deaths at this point. He shoots a death beam through Vegeta, lifts Krillin into the air, blowing him up as he did originally. Goku can't believe how powerful Frieza is, and Krillin's death shakes him to his core, enraging him and allowing him to transform into a Super Saiyan. As much as I'd I'd love to tell you this battle would be incredible and our heroes would win the day. It just doesn't make a difference here. For reference, First Form Frieza in Resurrection F, after only 4 months of training, was enough to kill Piccolo with ease. This Piccolo is at the very bare minimum as strong as he was in the Cell Saga, which is already stronger than Goku was after training on Yardrat and training for 3 years for the androids. But realistically, Piccolo is far stronger than that due to the fact that he doesn't stop training. Now imagine a Frieza that's trained for over 2 decades. It should be obvious that he doesn't need to leave his first form in order to take out Goku, even as a Super Saiyan. So Vegeta watches in horror, on the brink of death, as Frieza easily dismantles the Super Saiyan of legend. As a parting gift, he shows Goku and Vegeta his final form, making it clear just how big the gap between them truly was. Your little insurrection was adorable. A child throwing a tantrum that needs to be stopped before they get too full of themselves. I do thank you though, Vegeta. You have shown me that I no longer need to fear Super Saiyans. Frieza returns to his ship to see that the Dragon Balls have become inert as Elder Guru has passed away. With the Namekian Dragon Balls mere stones at his feet, Frieza realizes his use for this planet is over with. He'd left Vegeta and Goku barely alive to witness the death of the planet at his hands, an experience they missed seeing befall their own homeworld. And with that, Planet Namek is destroyed, but immortality is still on Frieza's mind. And one place to get it might be Earth. So Frieza, along with the Ginyu Force, who have easily conquered planet Yardrat, begin to make their way toward Earth. Their ultimate goal, to find if there are Dragon Balls on the planet or not. When they arrive, the Ginyu Force and Frieza's foot soldiers scatter to find out if the Dragon Balls are on the planet. However, they gather very little intel on them, and with no way to actually locate the Wish Orbs, they report back to Frieza that there's nothing to be gained here. Frieza briefly considers conquering the planet now in order to add it to his empire, or even sell it for a profit, but since the planet is small and seemingly valueless, he decides to leave it be for now. It could prove useful in the future if the Dragon Balls do turn up, and he could conquer it whenever he pleases, so destroying it just isn't worth the effort. This would prove to be a mistake for Frieza, however, as on Earth, trouble is brewing within a secret mountain lab. You see, Dr. Gero's androids are currently being worked on, but even more importantly, Cell, who is being created beneath the main lab in secret by Gero's computer, is paying more attention than the Doctor himself. Since Frieza visited Earth, Cell will have the DNA of Frieza's true form, which he stays in at all times now. So, much like the future timeline in canon, since this is technically that timeline due to the lack of time travel, androids 17 and 18 are released onto the world and take it over. This apocalypse lasts for 21 years as it did originally, until Cell is born in age 788. The new life form powers up by absorbing some of Earth's survivors, and then absorbs androids 17 and 18 to become truly perfect. With the DNA of Piccolo, Vegeta, Goku, and an overpowered version of Frieza, Cell thinks of himself as the strongest being in the universe, with no room for further growth. With his perfection achieved, he can finally seek the ultimate pleasure in his life, instilling fear in every living being. But eventually, he becomes bored terrorizing the people who remain on Earth and decides to move out into the universe, going from planet to planet in search of more victims for him to terrorize and be entertained by. Little did Cell know, the universe is far from free, and this journey inevitably leads him to a world that is owned by Frieza. Reports of this monster that's been terrorizing his world reaches Frieza. He had sent the Ginyu Force to handle it, but they were no match for Cell, who treated the fight more seriously than they did. The last received reports say that the monster's power is reminiscent of Frieza's own. So, despite him wishing to stay out of the conflict, Frieza eventually is given no choice but to intervene against the monster that torments his subjects, and worse, lowers the value of the worlds he wishes to sell. So, the Battle of the Ages is set to begin. Frieza versus Cell. When Frieza arrives on the planet, Cell is immediately drawn to his power, a power not too dissimilar to his own, so this would be the first true test for both of them. But of course, only one of them will leave this planet alive. After coming face to face, the two power up and start clashing, but each attack exchanged only further demonstrates that Frieza is lagging behind Cell's might. Cell's arrogance begins to show, and he starts to laugh at Frieza's pathetic attempts to keep up.
Do you know what I am, Frieza? I'm you, but more. I was only supposed to be made from the DNA of Vegeta, Goku, and the Namekian Piccolo. But luckily, you came to Earth too. Your DNA, your power, was added to mine, creating the perfect fighter. So don't be upset. You never stood a chance against true perfection.
Cell charges in and continues to pummel Frieza, but there's an uneasiness overtaking the genetic monster. His ability to sense ki doesn't stop at the surface. Just like the Z fighters, Cell can tell when someone is holding back. Cell flies back from Frieza and asks why he's not taking this seriously, and Frieza chuckles, saying that he didn't want to hurt Cell's feelings since it was obvious that Cell was trying his best. Cell's face begins to turn to a snarl, and he powers up further, boasting that he'd been holding back for his own entertainment. But now, it's time for this battle to end. Frieza smirks. Is this your full power? I'd hoped for something with a bit more style. Frieza's power begins to skyrocket, and his aura begins to flare. Tell me, Cell, do you know the difference between you and I? You're way down. The power of monkeys and slugs soils whatever you've gained from me. Frieza then transforms into his newly acquired golden form. He realized during his training that increasing his true form's power wouldn't be enough, so he decided to create a new transformation to push him to new heights, just as he saw Goku desperately do on planet Namek. However, with the power he's gained from training for decades alongside the golden form, Frieza is well beyond Cell. Frieza had been training for the 24 years since his DNA was taken by Jiro's robots, so Cell was far behind what Frieza could do now, and the golden form wasn't even made until Frieza left Earth, so it wasn't on the computer's radar. Cell begins to get nervous and tries to think of a way out, but before he can, a powerful blast is sent his way, and Golden Frieza wipes Cell off the face of the planet, leaving nothing for him to regenerate from. As the dust begins to settle, Frieza can't help but feel like he's being watched. The thought doesn't unnerve him though, because this is exactly what he wants. Frieza knows that Babidi is trying to gather energy in order to restore Majin Buu, but he's letting him because he wants a chance against him. Call it arrogance or see it as a child trying to prove their parent wrong, Frieza wanted to show that he could beat the monster Buu that his father tried to warn him about. You see, by the time of Cell's natural birth in age 788, decades have passed since the Frieza saga. With Earth having little to no energy for Buu, just like the canon future timeline, Babidi is gathering energy in secret. But Frieza's fight with Cell gave him the energy he needed to finish the revival, as Babidi teleported a room in his ship to the battlefield after detecting the energy spike. Once Buu is revived, Kikono and Berry Blue send a message to Frieza, and he goes to intercept the monster on a distant planet, the planet Buu was sealed on. Earth. Earth again. That planet is proving to be more interesting than we originally thought. Frieza gets to Earth as quickly as possible and faces down Buu. However, Frieza is severely disappointed. Buu is just nothing compared to him at this point. Even Cell was more of a challenge, while Buu is more of a nuisance. Frieza does have to overcome Buu's durability and regeneration, but it shouldn't be too hard once he figures it out, and he's enjoying proving his father wrong so easily. Babidi can't believe what he's seeing and tries to think of how he'll escape, but Dabura points out the evil in Frieza may be of use to them, and Babidi knows exactly what he means. Who cares if Buu is too weak to beat Frieza? Frieza will be his new minion to take over the universe. As Buu is knocked away by Frieza, an M begins to appear on Frieza's head, and he starts to feel agony as Babidi tries to take over his mind and will. Frieza tries to resist it, but Babidi tells him it's no use. He's a servant now. Then, Babidi unlocks Frieza's latent potential as he does for all of his minions, creating an unstoppable monster that Buu couldn't even dream of comparing to. Once Babidi has successfully controlled Frieza, he orders Frieza to kill Buu, then get on Babidi's ship. He'd be a far better servant than Buu was anyway. So Frieza quickly kills Buu, but he doesn't follow Babidi. I control entire planets! No, entire quadrants of this universe. Do you really think I can't control myself? With that, Frieza breaks free of Babidi's control. My training has proved less effective in recent years, so I thank you for helping me power up. Babidi puts up a force field to protect him from what he knows is coming, but it's no use. Frieza kills the Warlock and Dabura with ease, neatly checking off Buu from his list of beings who might pose a threat to him. Now, the only one standing between Frieza and uncontested control of the universe is Beerus. But Frieza knows he'll only have one chance to fight Beerus, so he goes back to his training to prepare for this final encounter. I haven't really spoken about Beerus much in this What If, and that's because we're basically following the future timeline. It's never addressed in canon what Beerus does in the future regarding waking up for the Super Saiyan God prophecy, since he doesn't come to Earth, and he doesn't die until 10 years after he should have already gone to Earth for the prophecy. So I like to assume that he goes to Broly instead, due to there being no other option for a Super Saiyan God in the universe, due to all the other options being dead or Tarble. Maybe one day I'll remake that What If too. Anyway, at this point in time, Beerus has been back on his planet, and Broly is kept there in order to train to be a worthy adversary for Beerus, and Whis is Broly's teacher, though getting Broly to control his power is proving to be the biggest challenge for Whis. This routine goes on for a while, until one day, Frieza shows up on Beerus' planet uninvited. The God of Destruction isn't happy to see the small upstart, and tells him to beat it before he gets destroyed. Frieza refuses with a sinister smirk, and Beerus starts to get angry. The God of Destruction doesn't feel like getting up, so he just tells Broly to handle it, knowing full well that Broly is far beyond anything he's ever seen Frieza to be capable of. So the hulking Saiyan brute charges in, but remember, this Frieza has trained for over 50 years. Even with Whis' training, Broly still can't transform willingly, making him nothing to Frieza. So he's knocked away with ease, to the shock of Beerus. But as Frieza gets ready to fight Beerus himself, Broly's power begins to spike. He's losing control and transforming. Frieza realizes he should transform further to handle this and turns golden. They go back and forth for a little bit, but Frieza is just too much for a brute that lacks control. With one final blow, Broly is rendered unconscious and is sent flying back, and Frieza begins to approach Beerus gleefully. I'm afraid that your pet isn't what I'm after. This universe is mine now. You could choose to live in it, or die by my hand. Now, Beerus is truly furious. He gets up and approaches Frieza, knowing full well that he's stronger than the small tyrant, even in his golden form. But Frieza isn't showing his full power yet. With a shout, Frieza transforms into an unseen form, Black Frieza. A form that rivals, no, surpasses the gods themselves. Beerus is taken aback by its power, but he doesn't back down. He's not going to let Frieza intimidate him, so the two begin their climactic battle to see who truly deserves to rule over the universe. Beerus' power, specifically in the Dragon Ball Super manga, is pretty undefined, and because of that, it's hard to say if he'd lose for sure. But considering that canon Black Frieza is how strong Frieza got after just 10 years and 4 months of real training, with some mental training and hell thrown in there, a Frieza who's trained for 50 years and had his potential unlocked by Babidi should be on a completely different level. Keep in mind, Beerus and Whis in the Dragon Ball Super manga have started looking at characters that do lose to Black Frieza as potential candidates to replace Beerus himself, so they have to be getting close-ish to his power in canon. If you ask me, Beerus loses this fight. The God of Destruction is killed by the hands of a tyrant that he let exist, and with no one else available for the job, Frieza takes over as God of Destruction and undisputed ruler of Universe 7. With his training mindset and Whis as a teacher, he may even reach greater heights. Remember, he's this strong without even having God Ki. So ends the story of a Frieza who trains. The terrifying tale of how ridiculous potential can be completely broken if used to its absurd fullest potential. Thank you to the members on the screen behind me right now. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and thank you so very much for watching.